Game 4. We've had 3 really excellent games. Both players have for the first time in the match, Deli has changed his hand. And again, we have paired cards on board with the 8917 and the 9781. Deli has stuck with the 2986 9628 pairing since game 1. Seto started with that pairing but switched on to the 8629 2986 pairing, which I think is preferable. Both have played the 7645 in every game, and every game that card has played phenomenally. It's played so well against the 9862s on board. This is the second game Seto is using a 5276. He has also used 6672 and also used the same 6457 Deli is using. In the first game, their hands were almost identical with one card different. Now, for 2 games in a row, Seto has gone with this 9781 and this specific hand, the first use of that kind of card. And Deli has gone with 8197, which is a change I think I really like, because the fundamental weakness I have thought in Deli's hands and setup so far has been that he has 2 of his high-level cards have the same weakness. Having a 1 and a 2 facing up, I thought really hurt him. And so I'm excited to see him handling a hand that does not have redundant weaknesses, right? Where the weaknesses on the cards are more separated. He also says he thought Seto had some weakness going to the right, and that subbing in Elena is a gamble, hoping to take advantage of that. And you can see that the 8 and the 7 might be very difficult for Seto's hand, right? The only thing that can beat that 7 is 2986. The only thing that can beat that 8 is nothing. And so this might be a card that lines up really well against Seto's hand. It also means, I think, it's harder to find a starter for Seto because there is not as clear a directional weakness to play against. Though I would probably think, looking at Deli's hand, the relative weakness is to the right. Going left, there's 87765. Going up, there is 98762. Going down, there is 98542. That drops off quickly, but the top 2 numbers really powerful. But going to the right, it's the only number where this direction where the second highest number is a 6. And that might be exploitable. On the other hand, Seto has the same thing going to the left. So, unclear how that's going to go. I like seeing the hand change from Deli, though. I think he's had a weakness in these games, and this fixes that potential weakness. It might be a card that just plays really well with the hands in particular. All right, looking at the elementals, which we didn't consider, Elena has that plus in 2 that might in fact be relevant, because that can capture anything in 1 that isn't 2986. Good point made by Pigs. I hadn't spotted that, because I don't check the elementals automatically. I like do an automatic directional check, sort of a safety check, a kind of what do I want to exploit check, but not an elemental check. 5276 has the plus in 4. That's likely to be irrelevant. And no other pluses in play. Some chance that's not irrelevant. It could take the 7645 at an unexpected moment. But I think all in all, elementals much less likely to heavily impact this game compared to last game, or at least elemental pluses, right? Because we've seen elementals have impacted each game so far, but only in the last one did the +1 really hit relevantly. Here, I think we're likely to be back to it not hitting relevantly. And that speaks to kind of how elements work, right? We've had I think 7 squares were elemental in game 1. Now I'm not sure, but I think including this game with 3 squares elemental, we've averaged basically 4.5-ish squares of elemental a game, which I think is what it's supposed to be. I said 5 earlier, but that's because I had seen a bunch of elements recently and thought it was more. But I think it's supposed to be about half the squares will be elemental a game. And that does mean each elemental card should expect to see about, given that there are like 8-ish elements, so the odds of any of the 4.5 or so elements being yours is 1/8 for each, so you get about half a relevant element per game per elemental card. If they have, and about half of those are likely to be irrelevant, so you end up with something like a quarter. And if you have, 3 elements in your hand, there's about 1 relevant element for pluses per game. A little under 1, like 0.75, between you around 1.5. And we basically saw one game where there were 2 relevant squares, and all the other games, mostly there haven't been any. Interesting starter. So the 5.2.7.6 supports it. This is the first starter where Seto has used his high-level card. 9.6.2.8 is pretty well controlled in 8 by 5.2.7.6. So Deli does not have inherent captures of this card either way that feel comfortable. This is, I think, a challenging starter. It also kind of cuts out Deli's potential 8, 1, 9, 7, and 9, because if that's taken by 2, 9, 8, 6, and 8, there's no longer the combo back in 7. So this is a scary move, I think. Now, 6, 4, 5, 7, and 5 is a big setup against it, because 7, 6, 4, 5 has been a bomb in every single game, just an incredibly powerful card. But Seto has that card in his hand. You can't give them both ways on their starter with the same card when you're second turn. Just not something you can get away with unless you've really gone deep on the move and have some fantastic ideas. And that's a real bummer. What relevant powers did this give up? It's the second highest number to the right. It is the highest number going up. Is 2, 9, 8, 6, and 1 safe? No, it is not. 5, 2, 7, 6 is good play there. Well, there's weird drama happening, but okay, we're going to ignore that for the moment and focus on this game. I don't know what Deli should do. I think this is another good starter. I think, however, it also uses up a lot of power early. And there is a chance that it looks good in the moment, but Deli just plays anywhere else, and actually this is not that big a deal. It does look like a big deal, though. It does look like a big deal. I kind of like 2, 9, 8, 6, and 1. It looks ridiculous. It just looks like, oh, here's a card you can combo 17 different ways. But if they go in 4, you just take back in 2, and if they captured, and they probably didn't have a high number facing out, so you have a big threat to go in 5 with something like 8, 1, 9, 7. And if they go in 2, you have the plus in 4. And if they kind of leave it alone, they don't have the same card for both sides of it. And so if you run them out of cards, that might be viable. Yeah, Piggyman pointing out 6, 4, 5, 7, and 5 would be so good if Seto didn't have the same shared idea. Yeah, so my stupid idea is 2, 9, 8, 6, and 1, which is stupid and weird. I would love to be able to go in 9 to threaten 8, but the problem is Seto plays an 8, and I'm not at all convinced we'll have a good L coming out of that. But 6, 4, 5, 7, and 9 could be a good move. Could be. Scary though. So fundamentally, what second turn wants to do is create challenges for first turn, right? Stuff they can't take. Now, 2986, they super can take, but they're probably never going to have a card that can take it both ways. Now, maybe they will. Maybe Seto just plays 2986 and 5, and you go, oh, I'm comboed everywhere. That's possible. But I feel like you just occupy 4 with Ifrit and go, it's fine. I think. Hard to be too worried about that. Or at least, I'm very rarely worried about moves in 5, but other good players are, so maybe I should look into something. Piggy thinks if you go 1, Seto usually blocks 4. I was actually thinking he'd probably leave that open. I think my instinct is to block up squares there, but here it seemed like the L's were probably good. So probably you'd go for a Knights or a 3-corner setup. Or 5. But I'm not sure. Very instinctual based calculation right now. Seto's good at starters. I mean, Seto's good at everything. But did not consider this at all. Very sound idea on the concept of the L, right? If Seto goes in 8 with 7, 6, 4, 5, the combo back's really nice. But regardless of what Seto puts in 8, 6, 4, 5, 7 in 6 locks in 9, and that sets up a threat in 5 with 2, 9, 8, 6. And that's usually enough for that kind of move to be good. I'm sure he's done further calculation than that, but it seems to me the L's should be decent, right? Your move in 5, Seto doesn't have any combo in 4. However, he may be able to set up combos in 2 against the move in 5, right? So let's say we want to do it. Maybe there's not a way to do it. Because I was thinking, if you play 7, 6, 4, 5, when Deli goes 6, it combos back 8. If you go 7, 6, 4, 5, and 8, that combos, but when Deli goes 6, it combos back. So Deli is freer to put whatever card he wants in 5. Though he may still have to put 2, 9, 8, 6 if he wants to recapture 4. So my idea was something like 7, 6, 4, 5, 8, 6, 4, 5, 7, 6, Deli's up 6, 4, and then Seto plays 2, 9, 8, 6, and 3. And Deli, if he goes 2, 9, 8, 6, and 5 there's a same in 2 with 8, 6, 2, 9. And if he goes, you can probably go 8, 6, 2, 9, and 2. Sorry, 2, 9, 8, 6, and 2, whatever. Yeah. Notably, this doesn't create a threat in 8. Piggy's instinct is to block 8, and that is usually how I play these positions, and that is the line I'm calculating here is the L's. But I don't think it's particularly forced here. If you could play in 3 with a 6 down, then 7, 6, 4, 5 would have a lot of good squares. Can't. It's probably good. It's probably good. Piggy wants 8, 6, 2, 9, and 8. I do feel like after 6, 4, 5, 7 in 6, just setting up to threaten that big move in 5, should be enough for Deli to hold. And for instance, if Seto plays 2, 9, 8, 6, and 5, Deli can play 8, 1, 9, 7, and 3, and that is safe, and it's 5, 5, and that's usually, yeah, enough to tie. And still has a 2, 9, 8, 6 in the hand there. So I think if we get the L, I think Deli holds, and it's Seto that has to be a little careful. That's what I think. So if I'm Seto here, especially after a starter I was pretty happy with, I would not be looking to play an 8, because I think I should be a little better here rather than worse, and I think I'm a little worse after I go an 8. On the other hand, if you cannot find any path to advantage, 8 is probably a low-risk way to tie. Yeah. So Turret's also assuming block 8, but then realize there isn't actually a threat in 8, so unclear whether you want to block or not. I don't know. Again, my instinct is if you can find something useful to do elsewhere, that's going to be the more complex way to apply pressure. On the other hand, if you can't, well, we have a different move. And it certainly was a more complex way to apply pressure. So that's an exciting move to see. So let's say, I think the default move here is go 8 in a way that is not susceptible to combos. Now, 2, 9, 8, 6 is a card we'd love to keep in our hand. Again, the downside of big corners is it is hard to play next to them. But 2, 9, 8, 6, and 8. Most likely reply. 8, 6, 2, 9, and 6. Seto will be up 6 to 4. Deli cannot capture that. Scary. I want to say 6, 4, 5, 7, and 1 there, setting up 7, 6, 4, 5 everywhere, but then they just go 3. 7, 6, 4, 5 everywhere works for them too. Huh. Hard to go in 8. But, importantly, Seto has different cards for different squares. Therefore, what if we ignore it? What if we say don't care? I wanted 2, 9, 8, 6, and 1, but 8, 6, 2, 9 is now set up pretty well everywhere for that. But like I'm starting to think like 1 or 3, and I wanted 1 because it creates a threat of 4. I don't know. This is complicated. We're on the 4th game. I don't know how their brains are still operating well. Mine isn't. But I think this is definitely going to be a game where Seto applies pressure. And like I said, I think 8 wouldn't have, but other moves might. Now I didn't see this one, but that's scary. Scary. I really want to put something in 1 or 3. Can probably figure out which cards I'd have to put there based on process of elimination. Like, have to keep 6, 4, 5, 7 as a recapture. Have to keep 7, 6, 4, 5 as a recapture. What about 2, 9, 8, 6, and 3? Now, 8, 6, 2, 9 is fantastic for the opponent in 6, but they don't have much combo potential in 2. If they go 6 immediately, I think you're fine going 7, 6, 4, 5, and 8. There's a chance you aren't, because there's a chance you run out of rightward power. So like they go 6, you go 8, they go 2, and you're like, oh, oops, I have no captures. Even then, though, 8197 will be safe, and you will, you might be behind 6-4. Depends if you're behind 5-5 or 6-4 there. Oh. Another tough game. Turds' instinct is he may have to go 4. Cut off a square that the opponent has and you don't. Smokes thinks this looks like a loss at a 10-second glance. And Piggy also feeling this is pretty dangerous. So we are worried for Deli here. This seems like a very powerful setup where the core problem is Seto has more combo potential and the safe card. And that is a lot of advantage to have. Does 8197 and 4 work? It's probably what Turds was thinking. Because it's actually hard for Seto to go an 8 there. If he uses 2986, he gets rid of his threat on... He gets rid of all his down power. If he uses 8629, then he loses his threat in 6. If he uses 7645, then he gets comboed back in 6. It's an interesting idea. And if 8197 and 4 is met by 2986 and 1, then your combo back on that flips extra cards, right? Because of the element. So currently, I think... Okay, so similar to the idea I had. I think 8197 and 4, which was an idea Turds had first, was really interesting. This does set up a threat against Wiegraf, which is why I was looking at it at first. 8629 is very powerful here, but maybe not as powerful as it looks. Now, its plus wall in 2 is really annoying because it means we cannot go in 4 without being at least somewhat comboed extra. And it's really good in 6. In 8, it at least doesn't capture 9. So it has some upside. I don't know what's happening here, obviously. Yeah, Turd says, I hate calculating these positions. Me too. This is part of the reason I don't play for them. Is because I think clarity is really difficult. I also have, checking some games with the solver, have learned that this is a position type I calculate wrong more than others. Alright. Obvious moves. Something like 8629 in 4, I think, is punished by 2. I don't think that's where the win's going to be. Some other card in 4 that doesn't flip anything, I think we probably still block 2. I think Deli survives 4. I also think there's a good chance Deli survives 8. I think 2, 3, and 6 are scary. But... Alright. Piggy thinks 2986 and 4 looks crushing. It may well be. 29864. Still 5-5. Something. If we go 76452, my idea was to block 2 against 4. If they go in 3, they go 3. Yeah, they play 8629 and 3. And we lose. No, we don't. Because our combo, we have the combo in 8, and that combo through 8. We don't have the combo in 8. I used my card that combos in 8. So do I have to use a different card in 2, I guess? But I can't. So 4 does look scary. Yeah, I miscalculated that. So 2, 9, 8, 6, and 4. It's going to be really rough because we now can't ever go in 8. We don't have the big combo in 2. Yeah, I think that is a very smart idea from Picky. I had looked there first, but I thought we could play 2, but I miscalculated that. Because I wanted to play 7, 6, 4, 5 twice. Okay. Currently think 4 is a win for Seto. Deli says, awful move on his part, got looking at his cards and not Seto's. Yeah, so we are, and he plays 2, 9, 8, 6, and 4. I think this is a win for Seto. It's just so hard to play next to big corners. An elemental doesn't make that less tricky to do, but you gotta create obstacles. I wonder if Turds' idea of 8, 1, 9, 7, and 4 was better. It was interesting. But I've counted out Deli before, so we have 6 minutes to figure things out. So 7, 6, 4, 5, and 2 was the line I was looking at. But the problem is 8, 6, 2, 9, and 3, and Seto leads 6, 4. And if we go in 8, we can't combo because we use 7, 6, 4, 5. We can only flip 1, and they flip it back. So we lose. And if we go in 6, they just combo, take stuff back. Oh. Deli thinks that's a tie. Alright, so Deli has seen something. What has Deli seen? If 6, 4, 5, 7 in 2, then 8, 6, 2, 9, and 3 can be met by 7, 6, 4, 5, and 8. And 7, 6, 4, 5 in 3 can be met by just going in 6. Yeah. So is it 6, 4, 5, 7, and 2? Was I right about the 2 instinct, but wrong about the card? I thought there was a reason we needed 6, 4, 5, 7. Oh, yeah. They go, we go 6, 4, 5, 7, and 2. They go 7, 6, 4, 5, and 8. And we can't capture back. And then I thought 8, 1, 9, 7, and 2. So that puts Deli up 6, 4. If they go in 8, we play 6, 4, 5, 7, and 6, and we tie against either card. And if they go in 6, we go 8. And so they go 3 is still critical. If they go 7, 6, 4, 5, we take it from below. And if they go 8, 9, 2, 6, I think we lose. 6, 4, 5, 5. I think that's a loss. Right? Because it's 5, 5 now. 8, 1, 9, 7, and 2, 6, 4, 8, 9, 6, 2, and 3, 5, 5, and 7, 6, 4, 5 will reflip 5. So if it's not 2, where is it? Very unlikely to be 3. Very unlikely to be 6. Very unlikely to be 8. I don't see it. I'm going to wait for someone to clue me in. Oh, he's just gone, no, it isn't a tie. Alright. I just sent a message to Turds going, I don't see one. But could there be anything there. No. Yeah, no, I think this is busted. That's great match, obviously. Very deserving of being, a final or a much deeper match in a tournament than round 2. Obviously, I feel happy every time we get one of these Deltobowls, but I was rooting for the other guy. I think 3 is just fundamentally met by blocking 2. I think 6 is just met by 8. I think 8 is just met by 6. And 2 was the closest. Two was the closest, but it's met by 3 or 8 depending on which card is used. Alright, so I bet Deli makes his move with like less than 20 seconds left, and that Seto makes his move within 30 seconds of that. Because Seto is a lunatic who just goes quick. What was the problem with 7645 too? I think it was 86293. Well, I think very nicely played match by Seto. Really took advantage of combo potential super well. Was in a lot of danger game 3, but navigated it with a really fantastic move in 1 to neutralize that. I thought had the better of game 1. Yeah, Deli does go for the one of the 2 trickier moves, and Seto has already picked up his card. Will he play it in under 30 seconds? He has 5 seconds to play it. 4, 3, 2, 1. He's taking his time. Alright, he played it 1 second after I thought he would. Okay. Yeah. And now there's not the combo in 8. If we could play 7-6-4-5 twice, which really was the MVP of this matchup for both players, it's going to deliver the final blow, but also if it could be played again here in 8, it would hold the tie. Yeah. Alright, well, huge congrats to Seto. This is an enormous win. Commiserations to Delial, who I think played a really good match. I liked his hand change this game, but that starter was shockingly difficult to meet. I didn't have any good ideas against it. I liked Turds' idea on move 4 of Elena in 4. That may have been an improvement. My idea of 2, 9, 8, 6, and 3 may have been an improvement, but I'm skeptical. I think Turds' idea was a much better idea. Wait, why does Deli think this is yes tie? What? I'm so confused. What's going on? 12, 13, 14, 15? Wait, what's happening? What is happening? name ++ wall. You must mean in a previous position. Or the brain just disappeared for a moment. That happens. Smoke says the best game was the one that had no captures. Really, really well played match by Seto. I also think made good hand changes, found effective starters. I think the starters in Game 2 and Game 4 were both really strong, willing to use level 5s as well as level 8s. Very, very nicely played match by Seto, and I think very nicely played match by Deli. As you can see from my commentary to a lot of these games, I think it is very, very difficult to calculate with Elemental on, and just so easy to make mistakes. You know, I thought Deli was winning Game 3, and I was wrong. Still curious what would have happened if he'd gone 2-9, 8-6, and 4 immediately. But great match. Congratulations to the winner of the 7th Deltobowl, Seto. He now trails 4-3 in their career record against each other. Again, this is a clash of quite possibly the two best players to ever click on Triple Triad cards. And I sort of got what I asked for. 3 really good ties and then a decisive game. It just didn't go the way I wanted, and so now I feel a bit bummed out. But nowhere near as tragic as last time, where I think like Deli just obviously deserved to win it and then didn't. But really fantastic match by Seto. I think fundamentally Seto, as you can sort of see just by how quickly he plays his moves when he's calculated it, that there's just very little second thought. He held on to the card maybe an extra 10 seconds here, but that was all the second thought he needed. Just unbelievably good at calculating, and so likely to get an advantage. If there's any shot at an advantage, so likely to take it, that I feel you really need to either have him beaten on hands or beaten so early in the game that there's not ways out for him, because if there is, he's just going to find it like he did in Game 3. And yeah, what can you do? So, and I think this was a really tough rule set to face Seto on, because it was not a rule set where I think he was drawn to a weaker hand. And when he does lose, I suspect it's because he's gotten in trouble on the hand matchup. And if he does well on the hand building, and I think he was at least neutral in like every game here, how do you beat him? How do you outplay him by enough in the first 2 moves of the game that he can't get out of it? And Deli did manage that last time in Nephilim, to get that big an advantage and then misclicked it. And you have to do that again? What a nightmare. I understand that it was just so incredibly hard to keep playing that. But great match. Really well played. Props to Seto. This incidentally completely ruins my bracket. I had Deli winning the tournament. But I kind of had whoever won this match winning the tournament. And I went with Deli for both biased reasons and the fact that I thought he deserved to win last time. And I thought he could do that again. But this was just very tough to beat Seto on, who is obviously just a tremendous player. And I guess now my pick to win the tournament? There's a bunch of favorites still in the field, who have a shot, but obviously tremendous player and a huge win over the chief rival of his career.